beneficiary. Nakuha din po ng PCW, Philippine Commission on the Role of Women, ang proyekto nilang Great Women Project. Kaya po ako ngayon nakangiting nagsasalita sa inyo through the self-development by trainings. Nandyan din po ang DTI. Tinulungan nila ako by trainings and labeling and packaging. As of now, meron po akong 10 workers. Ito po ay mga relatives ng person with disability. At ang mga anak ko po, awa ng Diyos, nakatapos na po sila. At ngayon po, masaya na ang aking pamilya. Sama-sama po kami. At malaki pong naging inspirasyon ng palibot. Naging success and naging success story po ako ng Naga City. So, ang pagkakataon po ito ay malaking pong pasasalamat at ang aking negosyo, Fabcar Food Product, naging inspirasyon po ito sa mga taong may kakayanan at walang kakayanang may kapansanan. Kung kaya ng may kapansanan, di kaya rin ng normal na tao, lalaki o babae man. Lahat po ito ay pinagpapasalamat ko sa Panginoon. Ang pagkakataong ito, nakasama ko ang lahat. Si Vice, nakita ko siya ng personal. After the Vice Presidential debate, ngayon ko po lang siya nakita at palagay ko makadadaupang palad ko po siya. Salamat po ng marami.
Maraming salamat po, Aling Feli. Kanina bago siya umakyat, tinanong ko siya kung kailangan niya ng tulong o akay para makaakyat ng entablado at sagot niya sa akin nakapunta nga ako dito na mag-isa. For those who didn't understand that, I asked Aling Feli if she needed help to get up. And she says, I got here on my own. I don't need it. But that's the spirit that our testimony shared today, the spirit of faith and hard work. And so thank you so much for your stories of inspiration and desire to make change. Certainly we can't just rely on government. This is a partnership. We'd like to introduce the OVP's framework for anti-poverty program. This was a result of all the consultations conducted during VP Leni's past 100 days in office. We now hand the microphone to Mr. Rapa Lopa, the OVP's Senior Advisor for Anti-Poverty Programs. Please welcome him.
Vice President, Her Excellency Maria Leonor Herona Robredo, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Senator Bam Aquino, members of the House of Representatives, members of the local government units, international organizations, civil society groups, honored guests, mga minamahal kong kababayan. There's such a wonderful energy in this hall today, and I must say I am not surprised. After all, many of you here are dear and familiar to me, and I know firsthand how big your hearts are and how ready you are to commit yourselves to the cause of the Filipino people. I'm also seeing many new faces around. We're very pleased to have you here, and we welcome you wholly and the promise of your friendship. This is indeed an exciting time. Under the leadership of Vice President Leni Robredo and also through your previous efforts, we find fellowship in our movement to reduce poverty among millions of Filipino families. And I'd like us to consider the word fellowship very carefully. That's because experience has shown us that without it, there is only so much that we can achieve. I'm sure you will agree with me. Poverty is not a single phenomenon brought about by loosely connected causes. Instead, it stands at the center of a tight web of interrelated factors. These include deficiencies in governance, public health, social protection, and education, among several others. Poverty is a perfect storm of unfortunate conditions, if you'd like. So if we're going to combat it effectively, our approach must be comprehensive, one that goes into the furthest and deepest reaches of our socio-economic and political environment. All of this was foremost in VP Leni's mind, especially after consulting you and the communities she visited. And this here is the product of our conversations, the anti-poverty framework of the Office of the Vice President. It's a framework that is at once holistic and responsive, one that recognizes and respects the complexity of the poverty problem. Now, when I say holistic, I mean to say that our strategy treats the major dimensions of poverty exactly as they are, complex and closely interwoven. But what is noteworthy about VP Leni's anti-poverty framework is that it finds cohesion in the most basic unit of our society, the ordinary Filipino family, specifically those who have long remained in the fringes of society. Sila po yung ika nga mga pamilyang nasa laylayan. Here finally is an anti-poverty campaign that reveals the true face of Filipino families in need, one that frees them from the anonymity of statistics. That's why this framework is best discussed according to the narrative of the poor family. And we're better to start than where life originates, our mothers. Maternal health is thus one of our priority areas under our banner for universal health care. You see, despite the growth of our economy and several public health care reforms, we haven't been able to reduce maternal mortality rates. Just 3 years ago, estimates by the WHO, UNICEF, UNFPA, and World Bank put maternal deaths in the Philippines at 3,000 per 2.4 million deliveries. That's 3,000 needless tragedies. That's 3,000 mothers whose deaths were utterly and completely preventable. That's what we want to emphasize. In the realm of public health, preventive care is the only true solution. So if we are to ensure the well-being of an emerging generation of Filipinos, we ought to give adequate natal care to our pregnant women. That way, they can weather the challenges of pregnancy and childbirth, and even better, give birth to healthy, beautiful babies. I mentioned sufficient nutrition among our mothers, because that's actually the toehold in our food security and nutrition campaign. The 2013 National Nutrition Survey found that in the Philippines, 1 in 4 pregnant women is anemic and nutritionally at risk. An infant born in these conditions is likely to suffer from wasting, where a child weighs less than the average for their height, as well as stunting, where a child is short for their age. Stunting is an urgent healthcare issue that we want to address head-on. One of the ways that VP Leni is doing this is by giving strong support to programs such as the Department of Health's First 1,000 Days program. See, the first 1,000 days of life from conception to a child's second year are actually the most crucial in shaping a child's future. If an infant is undernourished as early as the womb, stunting may well be on the horizon. And what a grim horizon that is. The physical and mental impairments typical of stunting are irreversible and impossible to undo. According to the UNICEF, stunted children are bound to have an IQ lower by 5 to 11 points, and their educational attainment and adult productivity are also lower than average. That's millions of Filipino children who cannot perform as well in school and who in adulthood may not be able to earn their way out of poverty. So grievous is the effect of undernutrition that it is actually associated with a GDP loss of 3%. That's devastating for a country that is only getting to its feet, much like the Philippines is. So it's clear, what we want is better maternal and child health care. And what we want to see are Filipino children with access to proper nutrition. Of course, it's not enough for us to ensure that our kids are in the pink of health. They need to be armed with the necessary skills for securing meaningful employment in the future. That's why VP Leni wants to highlight secondary education and skills training. Through this, we can link our youth to livelihood opportunities, specifically within fast-growing or emerging industries. These industries would, for the most part, be low-hanging fruit: local tourism.
Thank you very much. Kindly take your seats. Senator Bam Aquino, the members of the House of Representatives who are present, members of the Diplomatic Corps who are also present, members of the different local government units, governors, mayors, vice mayors, councilors, the other executive officials of all the LGUs who are partnering with us, international organizations, non-government organizations, civil society, and friends from the private sector, my fellow workers in government, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. We all live at a time and age that has made obsolete what used to be impossible. Did you know that out there is already talk of travel to Mars, self-driving cars, and drones that can deliver food or medicine or textbooks for your children, even if you live in the mountains or far away from the city? The internet and the mobile phone has massively changed the way we talk to each other. That is already a huge departure from using clouds of smoke to talk to the other mountain. And yet, we still haven't solved poverty. For all of mankind's bright innovations, for all of our brilliant ideas, 1 in 4 persons in our country is still unable to break free from poverty. Each day of extreme hunger steals a slice of our people's future. Each day of hopelessness kills our people just as surely as bullets do. In the last 100 days, after I assumed office as your Vice President, I sought to meet many of the faces of poverty, driven by the need to understand its nationwide scope and how best to address our people's needs. Our trips were an exercise in not getting lost in the numbers, because as I moved around, I kept in my mind the face of this child. Her life matters. Or the face of this grandmother. Her life matters too. Or the face of this mother and father. Their existence continues to be a daily struggle through no fault of their own. Our poor work very hard, but inefficiencies, barriers to development, and many other challenges make it hard for them to catch with outstretched arms, even just a little of the benefits of growth others in society so easily enjoy. So instead of waiting for them to tell government what they need, your government went to them. I promised to do this during the inauguration. So our lean team rode small boats and walked on rice paddies. We hiked mountains and we waded through water. But best of all, we listened. We learned many things. First, that poverty is the root cause of many Filipino families suffering. Poverty is a larger war that needs our focus and attention. It claims lives of pregnant women who do not have access to proper health care. It causes irreversible stunting in the first 1,000 days of children, forcing them to suffer for the rest of their lives. Poverty undermines millions of children's capacity to absorb knowledge and skills that are crucial for gainful employment and livelihood. It has pushed our people, young and old, to take or sell drugs and commit all forms of crimes. It disempowers and erodes the dignity of the majority of our people, especially in the remote rural areas and the congested urban informal settlements. Women are disenfranchised. The small farmers, fisher folk, and laborers who produce our country's food are ironically the ones who are hungry and lack proper nutrition. They do not earn enough to meet their families' basic needs. Second, that we need a lot of financial resources to solve poverty. But we all know that the Office of the Vice President does not, by its nature, have the budget to fight this war. Even in the challenge of bringing homes to the homeless, where the budget is much larger, we also need for complementary budget allocations from other line agencies and local government resources to address the problem more systematically. Third, and an integral point to the second point, we need trust among partners to solve poverty. Fortunately, we feel that trust is a currency that the OVP has in abundance. Since I assumed office, I am humbled by your numerous expressions of support for our anti-poverty campaign. I received letters from the business community, domestic and foreign NGOs, embassies, multilateral and international aid organizations, each one offering funding support, expertise, and experience through their unique programs and services. I have never looked at aid from other countries as a beggar-donor relationship. I like to think that it is a human response to show mercy, compassion, regardless of our nationalities, our race, our religion, and even our political beliefs. Our diversity and difference must never be a barrier to reach out to each other when anyone is in need. The problems we face require building bridges, not walls. They require collaboration, not polarization. We will succeed faster if we include, not exclude. And take note, despite the noise out there, the truth is many are still willing to come together and build bridges. Many have come to the Office of the Vice President offering help, and I believe it is born out of a sincere and unconditional desire to help. I have also come to discover that giving aid is not just about a donor and a donee, and that the donee is not the only party benefiting from such an arrangement. For me, it is also a partnership of two parties, finding ways and means to find the best solutions to the complex problems of the world. Our relationship with our foreign neighbors is not a one-way street, where we are the only one on the receiving end. As such, it is not about a country begging from another, but about human beings who recognize each other's limitations and their need to harness their unique gifts and strengths for the benefit of the greatest number who remain vulnerable. Fourth, that the best platform to fulfill our hopes in the fight against poverty is at the local government level, where approaches need to be holistic, customized, and owned by the beneficiaries themselves. We shall therefore bridge local government units and development partners and orchestrate these projects so that we achieve our goals at the soonest possible time with the least amount of resources. And we are glad to see that we have so many of our local CEOs here, proving that, again, there is much reason to believe that the fight against eradicating poverty will yield results. Fifth, for local government units to properly orchestrate the holistic change processes in their areas, convergence and collaboration is necessary. Your presence here proves that we are moving in the right direction. Later, before lunch, you will be involved in talakayang laylayan, or what I call development speed dating, the first of its kind done in the history of development work. The end goal is for our local government units to find your match, your best match. And we are very excited about the concrete gains and collaborative work that we hope to see during this session. Today is just the beginning of our journey together. In a couple of minutes, we will be launching Angat Buhay Partnerships Against Poverty. This is all of us making a stand against needless suffering, coming together to build bridges, not walls, facing a brighter future together through cohesiveness and collaboration. We have chosen our first batch of local government units carefully. If you map out the 50 or so LGUs present here today, you will see a combination of areas with high poverty incidence and magnitude, difficulties in malnutrition, employment, and education, among others. But more importantly, the LGUs here today have demonstrated a proven track record of openness to work with partners to combat poverty. So I see trustworthy LGUs focused not on politics, but on development. I see several hundreds of collaborators in the form of private corporations and agencies, civil society organizations, and sectoral representatives who are rearing to begin the hard work of transforming communities. What a beautiful sight this is. But this is just the first batch. We will be bringing Angat Buhay to where it is needed and to places where leadership is most empowering and efficient. Everything that we do here will benefit the Filipino family. The image I want you all to keep in mind is that of a family living contentedly within the four walls of their own home. Whatever we are able to put together as collective platforms and roadmaps, I hope to offer to our President as our humble contribution to our shared desire to improve our people's lives. As a nation, we cannot be defined but by what we are unable to do. Our potential tells more about us than our past inadequacies. I believe in our people. I believe in all of you. So let us make this work. Thank you all again, and together, let us seize today's opportunities. Maraming salamat po. Magandang umagang muli sa inyong lahat.
Ako po po si Cathy San Gabriel. Subscribe na sa PTV YouTube channel. I-click lang po ang subscribe button.